Et actuellement, nous travaillons sur
On the mining sectors in Congo, there's a lot of companies which have been on the market right now, and they are supervising if they don't compromise economic, social and cultural rights for Congolese.
Et il faut dire que la présence des entreprises...
The arrival of the companies should be seen as only a bad thing. It's an opportunity because it brings employment to the people around, and it's a good thing, and it's also permit to develop the economy around the mining companies. But on the other hand, you've got difficulties in the labor law, for example, or for the community around because of environment problems. So you have two sides of the arrival of the company.
Alors, mon organisation essaye de travailler pour amener, parce que vous avez à ce niveau-là...
So it's a game with three kind of actors. You've got the companies on one side, and the state and the public powers on the other side, and in between you've got the potential victims, the communities around, and their NGOs has to deal with the three actors.
Alors, de manière générale, vous avez...
Because there are no real remedy mechanisms, and above all judicial mechanisms in Congo, the NGO has a key role in assisting and helping the victims when corporate abuses against human rights occur in Congo, around the mine.
Alors, quand nous avons reçu l'invitation pour venir ici et prendre part à une discussion...
This mission we have in the NGO in favor to the community is the main reason why we are here in Edinburgh for the conference.
Sur la réflexion sur le travail des entreprises multinationales et les droits de l'homme, ça nous a beaucoup plus intéressés.
We are here to better understand and participate in discussion around the Regis framework, the three pillars, but also to provide the discussion with our ground-based informations of what live people in Congo.
We mainly work on women's rights, and especially indigenous women's rights, their land rights and natural resource rights, particularly in the context of displacement and mining projects, rehabilitation and policy issues around women's rights, whether it's women mine labor or women displaced and affected by big projects. We are not just working in India, but we are representing also a platform which is the only global platform for women affected by mining projects. And this is called the International Women in Mining Network. Since I'm representing the Women's Network on Mining, and a lot of our work is on advocacy and campaign support with regard to women's rights, with governments and with international bodies. I thought this was a good opportunity to get to know more about the work of the NHRIs and also exchange strategies and others' experiences on how they have been dealing with NHRIs in their respective countries. A lot of interesting issues are being discussed, and there are a lot of common issues that are coming out also. The last few sessions that I have been participating, we seem to have the same kind of problems and human rights violations that different kinds of business interests are imposing on our governments and on our countries. So I hope that we will be able to come together as our collective voices will be reflected in the at the end of this whatever workshop conference, and we come up with a declaration where it is a clear and strong assertion of what human rights defenders are talking about from different countries' experiences, that business interests are really violating human rights. And there is an important role for the national human rights institutions to take this new challenge of addressing the violations that are coming out of the different business and corporate abuses that are happening. Women's rights are not really being directly addressed even in human rights groups, because issues are very invisible. Although women are the main human rights defenders, or people who directly fight for their land rights or their resource rights or their community rights. So I hope that these issues are also taken across to different countries, and even in Scotland, people are listening to the voices of the women who are very invisibly being affected by what happens in the Western world and the decisions that are being taken with regard to business interests by the Western world in the more marginalized countries, in more third world countries. And so I hope that these women's issues will be supported, and there is a stronger solidarity that we can build from Scotland.
Yeah, the country which are most responsible for the violation of this human right particularly is Britain and the Netherlands. They are the country who are conducting this business of the catty flower companies. And the way we can make them accountable for whatever the activities which they are doing tend to violate human rights. Actually, this thing is legally binded, and it's backed up by the constitution of our country, the United Republic of Tanzania. Article 12 is provided that every citizen is entitled to a clean, safe, and healthy environment. And also the framework legislation, which is Environmental Management Act of Tanzania, also Section 80 of that particular legislation, also says that there must be an environmental impact assessment conducted prior to the establishment of any project, just to make sure that that project will not be environmentally harmful. It will be friendly to the environment. Since that is the legal requirement, therefore, should any company operate in a way that they violate the human right when it comes to clean and healthy environment, we can actually make that company accountable by taking them to the court. And this, we have been doing it, and we have already done it, and we are still doing it, just to seek for the court's remedy to stop this particular company to continuing conducting some activities which tends to endanger the health of the community. So that's how we actually held them accountable. They are violated. They are violated, particularly when it comes to the issue of international environmental law on the issue of the clean and healthy environment. Is actually violated because the activities which they are conducting do not really observe the issue of ensuring and declaring that communities are enjoying health, safe, and clean environment. So there is that violation. And though they are trying to actually, defending themselves by coming up with these principles, polluter pays principles, and though to me, I don't think those principles are applicable, because if somebody has been health-wisely being affected with a certain economic activities, health-wise, I fail always to understand how can you actually equate the health hazards to monetary compensation, because even if you pay this person money, but the person has already been affected health-wisely. So I don't want to encourage the issue of polluter pays principle, but I would like to insist that such projects should not be actually allowed to be conducted within the residential or in any community which tends to endanger the free enjoyment of their rights. the message which I have to the British consumers of the cut flowers is that they should discourage actually the consumption of those flowers, or else they should insist to the companies which are involving themselves in the production, make sure that they actually compromise the issue of production and the issue of consumption. To mean what? To mean that they should always do it precautiously, make sure that during the production activities they should observe the human right aspect, especially to the right of health, clean and safe environment. From the workers themselves, that they should be, they should be provided with the protective gears, the working tools, including the respiratory masks, the gloves, the gumboots, just to make sure that they are working under the required standard for any worker. And also, they should discourage the issue of polluting environment by just releasing the dead water and direct them to the water sources, which is highly consumed by the local community members together with their livestock. So the consumers can play a great role by actually forcing and pressurizing the companies to observe those standards during their production, or else they should refuse buying their products.